Hey, it's about time we get something visual on our screen again. In this lesson, we'll show you how to do that. So we're going to do the show card function, and this is the one that's going to actually show the card. So we're passing in a couple parameters. We've got temp, which is actually going to be the card so that we've picked up from the game deck. So it's the top card. And then also we need an element that we want to update. And I also want to update these values, and I want to move them above the take card and just clear them out. So we don't need to have the word deal anymore, as we're going to be updating that element in the show card. So we do have the element and do the text content, and let's write ready in there for now. So press deal, and then we've got the word ready. So that means that we can get the contents of the card. And if we do console log of the card object and clear that, and press deal, you can see that this is going to be a 6 of diamonds. So if we wanted to, we could set the card value, and we could use the card rank, and then let's do the ampersand and card suit, and adding in a colon. And this should actually be inner HTML, because this is an HTML object. So that will give us the 8 of spades. And it's really, really tiny there, but you can see it. And we need to apply some styling, but this is the general idea, is where we're going to be updating and we're going to be adding content. So we need to have a particular container assigned to it. So let's use a condition and just make sure that card is not undefined. And if it is, then we're not going to try to work with the card object, because that means that we're not being passed in anything, and we just simply want to not have any action for the show card. So this will help prevent throwing some errors. So I'm going to just simply remove that, because we're going to style it a little bit better so it actually looks like a card. So taking the style, and let's update the background color to make sure that it's white. And then using element div, and then document, create element. And the element that we're going to be creating is going to be a div. And I'll move this up so that we can see it a little bit better. We're going to create a class called card. So class list add, and adding in the class of card to that, just as we did before when we were constructing all of the elements. And this is where we've got a condition. So we're checking to see if the card suit is equal to hearts. Remember, we're passing all of this information. It's already contained within the card object. So we just need to have the proper conditions to pick up the information. So check to see if card suit is hearts or diamonds. And that means that we can produce it as red. So the class, and we'll create another class. So class list. And this is how you can add multiple classes to an element that you're constructing. So add again, and we're going to add red to it. And otherwise it'll just be black. So just if we don't add in red, and we got to make sure that we update the styling accordingly as well. And let's create a span, and then do document, create element, and creating another div, and span 1. Let's update the inner HTML, and this is where we're going to use that card rank plus the ampersand, and then card suit, and then concatenate it with the colon. You do need to have the colon, because this is outputting the HTML code for the card icon, the suit icon. So span 1, and class list again. And this one, we're going to make a little tiny value at the top, so it looks like a real card. And then for the div, we'll append the child. And the child that we're going to append is the span 1. So I know that I've called these divs and I've called these spans, but we're going to apply styling to them. So for now, we can actually also create them as spans. It actually doesn't really matter, because we're going to be applying the styling to them. But we can keep them as divs as well. So this was just to avoid the confusion. And of course, you can style these and you can update the styling as needed. I'm going to have another one. I'll call this one span 2. And let's keep this one as a div, and we'll make all of the updates with the styling. And this will be the bigger part, where we've got the bigger content. And the inner part of this one is just going to show the card rank. So this will be whatever the card rank is. So 10, ace, king. It'll show it nice and big in the middle of the card. And let's do one more. And this one is going to be the suit. So this one is going to be big as well. And we'll keep this one as a div. And as I said, right now, it's going to show as the default element properties, but we're going to update some of the styling later on. And the inner HTML of this one is going to show the character code. So the and card suit, and then add in the colon there. So you always have to add the colon, otherwise it's not going to work. And also make sure you don't have any spaces, because again, it's not going to work if there are spaces. So now it's just a matter of appending them. So we've appended the child, we've appended span to, and I think that we need to do probably, or we can just keep it with the span to. So see what happens, see what it looks like. Oh, and of course, lastly, we need to take the element and we need to append child, and let's append the div to the element. So that was the last thing that we were missing. So see we've got the jack of diamonds and then the jack of diamonds. So it's nice and neatly kind of structured, and it'll look a lot better when we apply the styling. And what we want to do is actually we want to take 4 cards. So we want to take 2 cards for the dealer hand and then 2 cards for the player hand. And let's just update these to player. And this will go into the player cards element. And this is why it's nice in the beginning if you set up all of your objects, page objects that you're going to have to work with later on in the game, nice and neatly. And this way you can see that content being output. So there we go. So we've got the 8 of spades, the 9 of clubs, the king of diamonds, and the 2 of diamonds. So it doesn't look great right now, and that's because we need to apply some styling. And we're going to do this with CSS, and we're not going to attempt to do it with JavaScript because quite a bit of styling to get this to look right. So next lesson is going to be applying styling to the cards that are being output. So that's coming up next. So go ahead and structure your card object, and coming up next, we're going to apply the styling to it. We've already applied all of the classes that are necessary in order to construct the cards.